Do you remember this video? It's hard to forget. The U.S. Humane Society went undercover at a research lab in Mattawan last year, exposing the brutality of dog testing that was happening there. The video would eventually save the lives of more than 30 beagles. All of those dogs now have homes, but the story is far from over. Our Doug Reardon has an update on two bills that would stop the practice of dog testing here in Michigan altogether.
Those bills have been stalled for months in Lansing, so we are hoping this gets the attention of legislators. There are no hard numbers showing how many dogs are tested on every year in the U.S., but there are groups working hard to see that it gets down to zero soon in Michigan.
What you doing, Teddy? Good boy.
Teddy the Beagle wasn't supposed to make it to this backyard in St. Clair Shores. He and his 30-something other brothers and sisters weren't supposed to make it out of this lab, where for much of their lives they underwent testing. Force-fed pesticides day in and day out. The apparent end? Euthanization, until an undercover investigation by the U.S. Humane Society and the video that set them free.
This is a dog.
Now Teddy lives a comfortable life with Dave Rubello and his wife Greta Guest on the east side. After the beagles were set free, the Humane Society got hundreds of requests from interested adopters. Every single dog found a home, and they got names instead of the numbers tattooed on their ears at the lab.
These are really great family dogs. They are so loving, and they just are so grateful.
When he touched the grass for the first time, he was prancing and running all over and running in circles in the backyard, and it was pretty cool.
Lately, Dave and Greta have been hard at work tracking down the other owners, and they found almost every single one scattered in every corner of the state. But as those dogs now enjoy a better life, dog testing is still legal in Michigan, and that doesn't sit well with Dave.
They're still doing this to, the dog we thought was Snoopy, and it's really a sad thing that more people aren't aware of this type of thing.
Two bills are currently stalled in Lansing. Bill 5090 would end painful testing on dogs altogether, at least at public institutions in Michigan. But the other, Bill 4496, doesn't go as far. It would guarantee that dogs used in Michigan labs, though, be adopted out after testing is over, just like the Dow Beagles, rather than being put down.
They weren't violating laws. They were absolutely allowed to be doing what they were doing, but it's still heart-wrenching to witness.
Kathleen Conley used to work at a lab that did animal testing. Eventually, she left, fed up with the methods that she says could get the same data with a more humane approach. Now, Kathleen works at the U.S. Humane Society and actually helped set up the undercover operation that set the Dow Beagles free.
And wherever you dig into what they're being used for, they're not really benefiting humans to the extent people might think. Heart research is a big one. Drug testing is a big area. Cancer, Duchenne's disease is another area. Muscular dystrophy. They were even used for narcolepsy.
Kathleen says drug companies lose money every day their products don't get approval. And while the FDA doesn't explicitly require dog testing, they can, and they do request it. Other countries might also require it if drug companies want to sell there. But Kathleen says dogs don't make the science any better.
Even the Food and Drug Administration, huge drug failure rates, relying on animal tests, and it's not acceptable.
In fact, Ryan Berkeley with the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine says 95% of drugs that prove effective in animals fail in human testing.
Nobody wants unsafe methods to come to the market. Nobody wants unsafe drugs to be prescribed. But the fact is that animals are not getting us safer devices. They're not getting us safer medicines.
Ryan estimates there are some 60,000 dogs used for painful testing in U.S. labs every year, but says the real number is impossible to pinpoint. What alarms him most is that labs and universities like Wayne State get federal money to carry out testing he doesn't see a point to.
The university has been using dogs in really invasive experiments for 3 decades. They've spent $12 million in taxpayer money doing so. They've killed 300 dogs in the process, and they have nothing to show for it.
And indeed, in a statement to Fox 17, Wayne State defended the practice but never cited FDA or NIH approval as the reason for continued testing. NIH panels rate the research as highly important. A Wayne State spokesperson told me the NIH continues to fund this research because the scientists view Wayne State's research data in peer-reviewed journal articles as valuable contributions to cardiovascular research. They go on to say if the research was not productive and valuable, it would not continually receive competitive funding, unquote. Nowhere in their lengthy statement does Wayne State mention federal regulations or testing that they're required to carry out. Wayne State has 2 federally funded dog testing programs dealing with heart disease, and they have for almost 3 decades. But according to the CDC, heart disease is still the #1 killer in Michigan.
They are basing how they spend our money on which papers get published, not what results they're getting.
And Ryan says dogs' bodies don't share enough similarities with human bodies to give confidence in the results. And he says there are also better ways.
Using donated human hearts that aren't viable for transplant, using cellular models, using human patients who suffer from these diseases already and would be happy to participate in funded clinical trials. We need results. We need better treatments for people. And you're not going to get that in dogs.
Now, Dave and Greta can only hope for the successful passage of those two bills so other dogs like Teddy can live full lives with a well-deserved second chance.
There's lives at stake here.
And it's not just in Michigan. At the federal level, the Puppers Act is stalled in Congress as well. That would ban the VA from conducting tests on dogs, cats, and monkeys. If you want to see Wayne State's full comment or statements from any of the other groups that we consulted for this story, you can head to our website, fox17online.com. Doug Reardon, Fox 17 News.